What is up, everybody? Deeper Depths here with the Deeper Level Podcast. I am super excited because today, guess what, my people, is episode 8 of the Deeper Level. Listen, I want you to do me a favor. If you are tuned in right now, please, because Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, whatever platform you are checking us out, loves the algorithm when we like and share. So make sure that you like and share this post because we're going to get into some great topics on today. And I believe that some powerful things are going to come out of this conversation with my special guest. If you're over on the Twitch side, you can hit that follow button right now. It does not cost you a dime to do it, and it helps to support our channel. If you're watching us on the red side, YouTube, then make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it's going to send you good vibes, people. I'll be doing some streaming later on tonight, probably be getting in some Gotham Knights, some Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, may just be all over the place, but we're going to have some great sessions. But again, thank you to each and every person who is a supporter of this channel and this podcast, because I do what I do, not for me, but I do what I do for you. So listen, go ahead, do that right now. If you are on Twitter, you can follow me at The Deeper Depths, and you can also stay connected to my social as I'm very active there, and I'm constantly sharing posts, constantly sharing nuggets, and constantly sharing gaming clips, just anything and everything that's related to gaming and superheroes. You know that I am on it. So appreciate all of you who are taking the time, and will take the time, even if you see the video on demand. We appreciate your presence. Listen, at this time, I want to talk about my guest today. He is an active member in the gaming community. He is a reader of comic books. He is a mentor, an advocate for mental health, and a lover of all things superhero related. Would you please help me welcome my guest today, Mr. Hero Mentor? Welcome to the podcast, sir. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are you? Can I say just off the bat that you guys' production here is top notch? Keep it up.
Thank you.
It looks good. It sounds good. I love it.
Awesome, man. You know, I'm honored to hear that because, again, I started streaming and maybe about a year ago. And so, I kind of upgraded tech along the way. Of course, I had to learn a lot of things. When I first started saying I'm going to become a streamer, I just thought, hey, all I need is a console and a camera. But, it's so much more than that. And, I've kind of learned how to operate the software and, just had good mentorship from people like Sleeper Kid, one of my IT and tech guys. So, glad to take this journey and learn some new things at 40 years old. Hey, it's awesome, man. I cannot complain. But how are you feeling today, sir? How are you?
Today's fantastic. I'm doing very, very good today. The weather here in Alberta, Canada is not really relatable in that sense. It's snowing and cold, but here, I'm Canadian. We're used to that. Like, we adapt well to that weather, but otherwise everything's fantastic. Just like you, I'm gonna play some Gotham Knights later on tonight in the PS5. Loving that game. So beautiful day.
Yes, sir. Awesome. That is so good to hear. It is that season where the weather is shifting, and Texas is a wild card down here. You may experience all 4 seasons of the year in one day. Like, literally, it'll start raining, it'll be cold, it'll be hot at night, have to turn on the AC, put a coat on, going to work, take the coat off. By the time you're in mid session at work, you never know. It's all over the place. But the first thing that I wanted to start the podcast by asking you, because again, I was just drawn to just your name alone. You see a name like Hero Mentor, and especially anything that's got the word mentor in it automatically catches my attention, because mentorship is so important, from generation to generation. So could you just talk to us a bit about how you got the name superhero or hero mentor? Where did that come from?
Oh, most definitely. I get it all the time. Like, when I go into people's Twitch channels, they say, "Hey, what's up? Here to mentor," and they say, are you here to mentor us?" So I get it all the time. I love it. It's actually a name that I didn't give myself. It was given to me. So I was a youth mentor from 2012 till 2021, and I focused on helping kids find their heroes.
Wow.
I did a lot of public speaking sessions. I did a lot of podcast appearances, TV show appearances, radio appearances, and so forth. But after 9 years of helping youth find their hero, I decided that it was time for me to step away from that, because when you are helping youth find their heroes and going through a lot of struggles and a lot of situations like bullying and abuse and so much more of the situation that they were going through, being an empath, you carry that weight with you. And what happened was I just became so emotionally and mentally drained and exhausted. I was doing about 30 to 34 hours a week of mentorship plus a full-time job plus, you know, raising my kids. So it was really mentally and emotionally draining, but the best experience I could ever ask for. On one of my last few sessions with the youth I was mentoring, one of them said, "You're like the hero mentor, helping us find our heroes." And when I made the decision to walk away and be like, you know what, I want to do what I want to do, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm 37 years old. And I've been an avid gamer ever since I was able to hold a controller and understand what was going on. And when I saw the opportunity and I saw just how powerful streaming and gaming has become over the years, I was like, you know what? If I was able to do what we're doing now when I was a teenager, it would have been the best thing for me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start doing that now. Even though I'm 37 years old, I'm going to start making passion my purpose, and I'm going to start streaming. So that's what I did. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I lost all my speaking appearances. I was actually booked to go down and speak to 4,000 youth in North Carolina, which would have been my first ever speech in USA. So I lost that, and I lost another few paid gigs with speaking. And I was like, okay, this is not going well. Like, I'm losing a lot of my financial avenue. And I said, okay, well, what can I do that allows me to advocate for my mental health and advocate for my concussions with the work that I do with Concussion Legacy Foundation and Unsinkable. I was like, what can I do with that as well as my passion for gaming? And that's when I realized, holy cow, this is like a natural complement to one another, where I can stream, talk about mental health, to share my story and so forth. However, though, technology has a way of just reminding you that you're not in full control. So I realized that my internet connection isn't really the greatest. So I found that when I was streaming a lot, I had a lot of frames drop, and I was like, you know what, this is not really going so well. And unfortunately, due to how old my house is, I couldn't really upgrade the cables because of the ground. So I was like, all right, well, that affects the streaming portion really well. But thanks to Lightstream for being a partner with me, and I'm now recently sponsored by TELUS, which is one of the largest internet, cable, and home phone providers in Canada. So I was like, okay, this is a great start. But like I said, my internet connection isn't that good. So I was like, you know what? I love podcasting. I've been doing podcasts for years. And that's when I came across Anchor and Spotify. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my podcasting there because it's audio. And that takes a lot less per second for data, right? Like, it takes a lot less to upload and download. So that's going very well. But that's how it all started. Was I was sitting down and I was like, okay, what can I do for a name? You need a name that's very original. One of the things I don't like on Twitch is so many copy names that have different letters, different numbers, but they all say the same thing. I'm like, no, I don't want that. But I'm also a long-term planner where I was like, you know what? This can start off as a streaming platform that can go to a speaking platform for when COVID opens up again, and I can start going to schools again and public appearances. So I was like, okay, long-term, I need to create a brand that is focused on that goal. And I sat down and I was going through my notes, and then that's when I saw where you said you're like the hero mentor. And I was like, the hero mentor, I'm like, that's 100% who I am. Like, I love mentorship. I love sharing my story. I love speaking. And I was like, okay, that's perfect. And I love heroes. And yeah, that's where we're at now. That's where Hero Mentor came from. It was a name that was given to me unknowingly by a youth that I was mentoring.
Wow. That is incredible. And, like you said, a lot of people's schedules, especially as it relates to the pandemic, was shifted, as far as motivational speaking, public speaking, people who travel for work. I mean, it literally just turned our world upside down, and we really had no blueprint, no roadmap, because even our parents never went through it, never seen a pandemic on this scale. So there wasn't even really many people we could talk to say, hey, how do I get through this? How do I navigate through this season of life because they had never experienced it. So I think that's really, really cool that you have that passion and that mission and just being an advocate for mental health. And if I read this right, I think I saw a post one time because I follow you actively on Twitter. And by the way, for those of you who are watching, I'm putting a banner on screen now so that you can follow this young man on Twitter, because I'm telling you, his posts are so inspirational, just his story. And that's why I was really excited to have him on this podcast. But I think I saw a post where you stated that you have survived 15 concussions. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it's a long road. So my first concussion was when I was around 4 or 5 years old, and it was so bad that I damaged some blood vessels on the right side of my head. So for about, I remember, I think it was a couple of weeks or a couple of days where you could actually push in the area of my head and it felt like a sponge.
Wow.
And then I suffered more concussions in professional wrestling. I did that for a couple of years. Then I played football, and then I did security professional work for about 8 years and got into a lot of fights and arrests and stuff there, you know, in regards to like bodyguard work and security escorts. My most serious concussion, though, was in 2006, where I was hit in the head with a shovel 3 times during a robbery. That concussion was my 12th one. That resulted in me retiring from professional wrestling. And then I suffered 3 more concussions after that. And then I was in brain injury rehab for five or 6 months in 2011, where I learned how to walk again. And I had so many different symptoms that were repeat symptoms from my previous concussions, but then I also had new ones that were very intensified, and that's when they realized, like, okay, maybe there's a connection here with individuals who have ADHD or autism as well as concussions. And with that being said, I was diagnosed with OCD. I was diagnosed with what's called dysthymia, which is chronic depression, which means it's not as severe as manic depression or I can't remember what the technical term is for, but it's basically depression that it comes and goes in waves. I can have days where I'm really well, and I have days where I'm just not, like I'm bed rest. And that's with my ADHD as well, with my OCD. I also got diagnosed with what's called misophonia. Misophonia was only recently found in 2001. And it's a condition where you have a high sensitivity to certain sounds, and the response is different for everybody. For me, it's anger. When I have these triggering sounds, I get very angry, and I have to remove myself from the situation. For example, the typing of keyboards, whispering. I can't watch basketball games or volleyball games on the court because the sounds of the squeaking of the shoes, I can't handle it. So that is very difficult to deal with, you know, in the sense of misophonia, because, you know, there's some video games that have certain sounds where I'm like, I can't handle that. Like, for example, recently was Last of Us, the sound of the clickers.
Yes.
Like that immediately triggers me. So I look forward to killing those guys. It's like, no, that's triggering. You know, and one of my biggest things I like to speak about is how being neurodivergent, for those who don't understand, neurodivergent is someone who is dealing with a different situation like ADHD, autism. It's a whole bunch of disorders put into one. And so my biggest thing I like to do is share my experiences with gaming and how some games benefit me. For example, Gotham Knights. A lot of people find that the UI is very terrible. It's brutal, but for me, it's so simplistic and I love it.
Yes.
And it's very easy. Like I remember when Avengers first came out, I was so overwhelmed with the menu and the UI. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Everything's distracting. There's still that stupid loadout button that you can't click and take away the notification, which drives me batty. But with Gotham Knights, it's like, it's such a simplistic design where I was like, yes, it looks like a mobile game, but for people like myself who are neurodivergent, for us, it may be good for us. And I made that post on LinkedIn, and a lot of the development team were like, oh, thank you so much for sharing this, because they're trying to have more of a focus to make gaming more inclusive for neurodivergency and hearing and visual impaired. So that's great to see that. So that's really my mission, is just to say like, hey, this is how I struggle with my mental health, and this is how gaming helps me. I'm proud that gaming has a lot more focus on accessibility options that help. Like, there's so many different things, but when I recently I announced as well, you probably saw that I pledged my brain for donation to Concussion Legacy Foundation due to the fact that I have 15 concussions, but I also have ADHD. And there's a lot of research around that. So I was like, maybe my brain could be part of that research to help individuals down the line, because unfortunately concussions are happening consistently daily, not just in sports. Like, so there's a lot of advocation I do there for concussion awareness as well, where it's like, okay, you know what, I coach NFL flag. The reason why I coach NFL flag and not tackle is because I am a strong believer that tackle can wait, that kids can wait to play tackle because it helps decrease the concussion risk.
Sure.
So, a lot, my story, I'm not going to lie to you, is really long. There's a lot of topics I can talk about: depression, suicidal ideation, concussions, ADHD, like security career, where I dealt with a variety of serious topics and emergency situations. I had to deal with, drugs. I had to deal with gangs. I had to deal with a local gang putting a hit on me for interrupting their drug deals. Like, I got slashed with a knife. I got bear sprayed. I got tested for AIDS and HIV twice. Like, it's just like there was so much into my story, but we only have a certain amount of time today. So
sure,
it's just, whatever you want to talk about, I'm an open book. But in regards to your question about concussions, yes, I do have 15, and it's one of the statistics I'm not proud of because there was a lot of
I get it.
There was a lot of conditioning of fight through the pain.
Sure.
Back when I was getting my concussions, there really was not much awareness about it. So the response time was simple: take Advil and relax. Don't fall asleep for 4 hours, which has now been debunked. Like, so much information has changed because of so much more data and research. And and COVID was a great example of this, where science is always changing. Like, it's not that, the science is lying to you. It's that, oh, we found some new data. We found some new research. So now things have changed. So I'm very excited for the future of concussion awareness and prevention, because it's a high priority for a lot of people.
Wow. You know what? Let me say this, Hero Mentor. Let me be the first person to tell you personally, thank you. It's because of your transparency and being an open book, like you stated, that's going to help so many people. I mean, like, the height of your life has not even been reached, brother. I mean, there is so much work to be done out here, and I'm just glad that you're taking action to get that work done. And I really appreciate that. And there's no doubt that gaming, and this is why I tell people gaming is so important, because without gaming, Hero, me and you may have never crossed paths. And that's the power of gaming, because it brings people together. I know a lot of people use the platform of gaming to be toxic and, to spread hate or whatever the case may be. But for me, gaming is a connecting point, and I've been so fortunate since I've been in gaming communities to come across people like yourself, who are an inspiration to me and those who are even listening on this podcast today and will be listening on this podcast. So there's no doubt that if gaming had not existed, then we wouldn't have this opportunity to share with one another. Now, as far as Gotham Knights, the UI, personally, as you stated, the difference between that and Avengers, because again, both of us have been on Avengers since the release. We've been faithful, we've been dedicated, but it's just kind of hit that point to where, there's just not really much there. But using that as a reference point, the UI with Gotham Knights makes so much more sense. I mean, if you just break down this game, the nuts and bolts of it, I think that WB Montreal did an incredible job. I finished my first playthrough, and I think you were saying that you finished your first playthrough and you're on the Game Plus now. Talk to us a bit about your overall enjoyment of the game, because I trust your judgment. I mean, you've been involved with, superheroes. You're a lover of superhero things. So I trust your judgment of this game. Overall, what would you rate Gotham Knights? How much have you been enjoying the game?
In regards to the rating, are we doing like a out of 10 situation?
Yeah.
Easily 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for me. I validate and I understand a lot of the complaints that people had at the release date. I honestly feel some of the reviews were highly exaggerated,
Yes.
which is definitely something that is very common nowadays with content creation of, how do you get views? You exaggerate. So I expected a lot of these reviews to be highly exaggerated, which they were, but a lot of the complaints were justified. A lot of them were like, okay, the 30 frames per, 30 FPS, I get that. But at the same time, it didn't really bother me because I'm just like, I just want to be able to play the game. And if they felt that they couldn't do 60 FPS because it, broke the game, then whatever. I'm not a developer. I live a life where I adapt. And here's the thing, like, gaming is such a form of therapy for me that I don't like bringing negativity towards it. Like, I don't like to bring negativity into a zone I love because it makes no sense to me. So yeah, I have my complaints with the game, and I don't feel I need to like express them religiously daily on Twitter. I'll say it once and drop it because I'm just like, you know what? These developers are getting dozens upon hundreds of dozens of tweets and messages a day complaining. So I'm like, you know what? They've heard this situation before, so I don't have to say it. But I also love when people take source material and they do their own thing with it. Because here's the thing, like, I didn't grow up on comics. I grew up on animation, movie, and gaming. And then I started slowly getting the comics. And I'm like, you know what? People are saying, like, this is not comic accurate. Good. I don't want it to be comic accurate. And then people say, well, it tarnishes the legacy of the history. How? You can still go buy the comics and read that history. Like, it's basically a new chapter on that character's history. It doesn't tarnish the legacy. You can still go buy a back comic from the past and read it. So that makes no sense to me. People say that, but like, I love when they do like their own thing. And they, Avengers did it where everyone's like, I want them to be like the MCU, or I want them to be more comic accurate. Why? Just enjoy their version of the story of these characters. And I applaud Gotham Knights for doing that, where they left a lot of Easter eggs to give nods towards these comics and these characters, which is awesome. But they still stay true to the story that they told, and I thoroughly love this story. Before this game, I was not really much aware of the Court of Owls. So, huge shout out to another member of the community, Hoarder Gamer, who's a fellow huge comic nerd, and he's like, this is Court of Owls. And I was like, okay, cool. So, like, for example, let's say Gotham Knights was like, you know what, let's go more towards a route that the current committee would know. They could have not done Court of Owls, and I wouldn't have never been interested in that story arc. But because of the game, I'm like, I'm gonna buy Court of Owls comics. I'm gonna buy Court of Owls, whatever I can read and learn, because this game introduced Court of Owls to me, and I love it. They're scary, they're creepy, they're intense. Like, when I go to do some crime patrolling in Gotham and I see it's the Owls, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a long battle. Not as hard as the drone character off the Regulators, though. Nothing is as difficult as that. Like, let's just say that. I'm usually not one to ask for a nerf, but that needs a nerf. Like, that damn Regulator drone person needs to be just chilling out. But overall, though, I love the writing. I love the voice acting. I've been introduced to majority of these cast members for the first time, except for Stephen O. Young, who I'm familiar with because of Mr. Negative. But the rest of the cast, I'm not familiar with until this game. And, Elias, who plays as the Penguin, tremendous performance. Tremendous performance as Penguin. Love his voice. Love the tonality that, and the raspiness. America Young as Batgirl. Love her sass. Love her sarcasm. I love her, spunky attitude. Steven, I was super excited for his performance as Red Hood, because Red Hood's one of my favorite characters, because I've always been drawn to like the dark characters. Like, for example, I love Punisher. I love the characters that have you question, are they good or are they bad? So I was like, oh, Steven has to bring a great performance to this role that's convincing enough that this guy is angry, that he's brooding, that he is dealing with a lot of mental health. And oh man, the writing for Jason's character and the performance from Steven, just, they complement one another, where this whole experience with Gotham Knights has been a great time. I'm hoping for DLC. I'll say it on the record, off the record. I will pay for the DLC. Like, I don't care. I will pay for it, because I'm loving the, for example, the co-op, the untethered co-op. Love that, that you could be over in old Gotham and I could be way up in Bristol, and then we could just
Yep.
connect again later. Which is what me and Hoarder usually do when we're gaming. He'll go do like crime investigation because I hate those kind of missions. So he'll go do those, and I'll just go do other missions, and then we'll meet up for the big storyline connection or whatever. But just this has inspired me to want to see Marvel create a game like this for either Fantastic Four or the Defenders,
Yep.
because like that would be such an experience to play as Fantastic Four in this type of like element, or even the as Defenders. That way you get Daredevil. But I'm just like,
Absolutely.
this game this is man, I hate to say this because I know it's going to cause a lot of issues amongst the community, but this is what the Avengers should have been. This is what it should have been, because I'm
Yep.
not going to lie to you. When I first read that your level, it goes across all four characters, I was like, well, that's kind of lame. But then I realized something. I'm like, wait a minute, there's 11 characters in the Avengers, and I hated the process of
Yep.
repeating everything for
The
each character. So I
grind.
was like, you know
Yep.
what? I like this, and I love it. I'm like, it's like knowing that I can play as Batgirl and then switch to Robin, and they're the exact same level, and the ability points cross over. I was like, okay, this is genius, because it doesn't interrupt the flow of play for me. I can just keep going. But yeah, 9 out of 10, 100% easily for me.
Man, that's
I
awesome.
get if you're wondering why I didn't give 10 out of 10, crossplay. That's the
Yep.
one thing I really want is crossplay.
Absolutely. Crossplay would be awesome. I think that Gotham Knights certainly, like you said, they told an original story. They purposefully did it. And again, me personally, I had heard of the Court of Owls, but I never read the story. And this is like a true
Exactly.
story. Because yeah, without this game, I wouldn't have had interest in that storyline as well. And here's how I know that WB Games Montreal and this game Gotham Knights has had an impact on the world, because for 2 years straight, before they announced this game, before they had showed the footage at the Game Awards, and kind of showed one of the first trailers and the gameplay of Batgirl, going up the ice mountain, getting ready to fight Mr. Freeze. When they showed that, it brought awareness to the storyline of the Court of Owls, which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure in the comic book world it was already a thing, but that's just one particular storyline that I never had any interest in prior to this game. Books a Million, and this is no joke, my Books a Million, where I live, for almost 3 years straight, sold the Court of Owls booklet, hardcover booklet,
Mm-hmm.
hardback, and the Court of Owls mask. Okay. For 3 years straight, they had tons of those on the shelf. And every time I would walk in, I would think about getting it just as a collector's item for the mask, but I never did touch it. And I kept saying, this is something that's going to always be here, because I watched it. And for 3 years straight, the same amount that was on the shelves stayed there on the shelves. When they released the announcement for a Court of Owls, that this was going to be a Court of Owls storyline for Gotham Knights, it drew interest to me. This is no joke. I went back into the same Books a Million where all of those books had been on the shelves for years. And I said, I'm going to purchase one because I want to now read the Court of Owls story, so I know what's going on before the game comes out. Sold out completely, Hero Mentor. Then I got on Amazon.com saying, okay, well, there's none at Books a Million, so let me just order one from Amazon. They were on back order to November 25th of this year. Okay. So,
Jeez.
and there's no doubt that because of Gotham Knights, it brought awareness to that storyline. And now people were interested. And again, that's the power of gaming. That's the power of marketing. That's what it has the ability to do. So, whenever that becomes available, I'm going to get one. But, again, I wouldn't have had any interest in it, like you say, until this game came out. But as far as the untethered co-op, is brilliant. I think that this truly should be the model moving forward in any superhero type games. For instance, we've got Spider-Man 2 coming out next year. Um, Insomniac, again, are goated as it relates to a development company. I'm not saying that, Gotham Knights is, going to be better than Spider-Man 2, or that, somehow this trumps Spider-Man 2. I'm not saying that. So please, if you're watching this, don't take the comment that I'm about.
Make sure you clarify that.
I gotta clarify that. So don't take this comment as me saying that. But what I'm saying is, I would like to see Insomniac borrow from the idea that Gotham Knights has released with the Untethered co-op, to have Miles and Peter Parker to be able to do that, which I don't know if co-op is going to be a thing just yet. I'm hearing that there's some type of co-op multiplayer that's rumored, but it's not confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
But they have said that there's going to be 3 playable characters. Now, we don't know if that third playable character outside of Miles and outside of Peter is going to be Symbiote, Spider-Man, or Venom. They haven't really said, but just imagine, because Insomniac is building their own universe. They're making the Wolverine game. I mean, just they have so many directions to go in the future with what they want to do. Like you said, to see that Defenders game, or to see that Fantastic Four game, or just whatever the case is, having that Untethered co-op, this is the best experience that I've had, truthfully speaking, with the game like this, of this caliber, with the way that they did co-op. So I'm satisfied with it. I'm loving it. I can't wait to see what Heroic Assault looks like on November 29th, which is the 4-player co-op. So, me and you definitely got to get some games in, bro, with the co-op, and then also the 4-player co-op. But there's just so much room to grow with the Easter eggs and all the references and nods that they gave to the different characters in the DC universe. There is so many directions that they could go with DLC, and I'm with you. I would gladly pay for it. I mean, if they said, hey, $19.99 or $29.99 for the next season of DLC, whatever the case is, I would gladly pay for it, because this game has been phenomenal to me. Going through it on New Game Plus, I played through it the first time with Red Hood, and now I'm going back through it with Robin. Who was your first playthrough with?
Red Hood.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't 100% completion with Red Hood, because I have a lot of OCD. So, for example, I got not necessarily bored playing Red Hood, but I was like, I want to play the other characters and experience them too. So I would always jump back and forth. But right now, I'm really, really enjoying Nightwing. He has the speed that I like. Red Hood, I felt, is really tanky, so he's a lot slower, which is fine because it fits his playstyle. But I was like, I want to have more fun, and Robin's next because of the stealth, but just the melee power that Nightwing has right now is tremendous. Like, I'm loving his character. Batgirl, she's probably my second. She is my favorite thing to do with Batgirl is the gliding. It's just, I have that whole Batman-esque feeling whenever I see her gliding through Gotham, and I'm like, I gotta have her suit dark, like the Knighthood suit, where like it looks like Batman's. Like, it's just, there's so much here. I honestly will say that WB Games Montreal is probably sitting down right now weekly in meetings saying, how can we keep contributing to this game?
Absolutely.
If they choose to make this a one and done, I'm gonna be like, really? Like, you guys have the DC universe here, where you guys have left us Easter eggs and nods for Black Canary, for Huntress, for Scarecrow, like Killer Croc, like all these characters you guys have put strategically in the game. And if you guys are not going to capitalize on that and bring us more DLC, it's like they're shooting themselves in the foot. I'm okay with it not being live service, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of live service games out there right now that it's kind of like, for me personally, live service games are kind of getting burnt out for me. I'm like, you know what, I'm good. But if it was a game where they just had like every 3 months or 6 months, they bring out new content, new story, I will pay for that DLC. Not a problem, because they have told or showing me that they're just, how they understand these characters so well. Like, there was a scene where Jason was mocking Tim, and I was like, that is so Red Hood. And Tim is in college, so he still has that like childlike spirit where he gets excited. So you know, and then Batgirl with her, like I said, her sassiness and her sarcasm, her tough as nails. Like I just like these are all great characters. Like
Yeah.
Christian has done amazing, Sloane's done amazing. They've all done so well. Like there's no one in. Sometimes you can find a game where you can be like, you know what, that one voice actor, I'm just not feeling. I'm like, I'm not enjoying that character. This game, I'm like, I'm loving every single voice actor's work. You know, Harley Quinn. At first, when I saw her first character design, I was like, okay, this is a different twist. But then when I played her boss battle, I was like, oh my goodness, the voice actress, which I believe is Carrie, has done so good, like so good. I love it. And yeah, this game is. We'll just say it's mental health friendly for me. I constantly get dopamine rushes where I, you know, get somebody, I interrogate them, open a new premeditated mission. I'm like, I feel like I'm always being rewarded for doing something, which is something that has taken me away from Avengers, where I just stopped feeling as if I was being rewarded. You know, as gamers, actually anything in life, we love our ROI, our return on investment. So if we're investing a lot of time in a game, we want to feel as if we're being rewarded properly. And Gotham Knights, as of right now, is doing very well, especially when they announced, you know, New Game Plus. I was like, I never knew what a New Game Plus meant because I've never done it before in any other game. But I was like, oh, wait a minute. It allows me to go from level 30 to level 40 and get new gear. Okay, I'm in. Like it gives me something, you know, it gives that incentive to play. So like this hat I'm wearing is officially from Marvel's Avengers because Crystal Dynamics sent me a package a year and some ago. But it's like I was heavy into Avengers. I was one of their featured streamers. I love the game. I love the community, but it quickly went south where I was like, okay, we have no idea what's going on. The communication is non-existent. I have no hate towards any developer of the games, but it's just like there's something missing here with the communication where I don't feel incentivized. I don't feel like my investment really matters. And Gotham Knights has come in and been like, here you go. And now we have Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League coming up, which is a live service game. So I was like, okay, that's going to be very exciting because I've always wanted to play as King Shark. I've always thought he'd be a cool character to play as. And, you know, Captain Boomerang, okay, sure. But Deadshot, love Deadshot.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Wolverine. I'm super hyped for Spider-Man 2. Like, I mean, I am super stoked for that game. Like, Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales were just incredible experiences. Now, if you were to say, hey, Hero, who would you love to see Insomniac work on next? And I will say Punisher. Punisher.
Yes.
Now that you're introducing Wolverine as a rated R character, I'm like, do Punisher, please. Or if you say, well, how about a female character, Black Widow origin story? Black Widow origin story would be pretty badass. But like Punisher is my number one Marvel character. So I was like, and that leads, I guess, to, you know, Midnight Suns, which I'll go up there. They sent me a cool collector's edition. And I was like, Punisher would also be good in Midnight Suns. Like, we need more Punisher, man.
Yeah.
We need more Punisher. We need more Daredevil. Like, there's so much potential. Now, if you're asking me how would I introduce a Daredevil game, because of the strong focus on visually impaired accessibility, imagine a Daredevil game that was 100% focused on visual impaired experiences.
Wow.
Like, that would be an incredible way to bring in Daredevil. But you could also have like the option to turn it off. So, you know, you and I can enjoy it as well. And, you know, someone who's visually impaired could be like, I can have a full throttle, top-notch experience playing a game that is built for visually impaired gamers. Like, Daredevil has a lot of potential, and I'm hoping. I don't know about you. Are you playing Marvel Snap?
Yes, I am. I actually started on Snap 5 months ago. I didn't actually get an official.
Oh, you were in the Gotcha.
But what I did was I went through BlueStacks and downloaded it on an emulator. And so, I love it. I think that at first I kind of was complaining about the fact that it took so long for us to get our version. You know, they released it everywhere else before we got it. And so I was just like, hey, they're missing a window of opportunity. They need to go ahead and get it out. But now that the official version, because the reason why is I wanted to spend money on the game, because through BlueStacks, without an official invite, you didn't have access to the marketplace. So like I couldn't buy any of the variant because I'm a huge Scotty Young fan. Like he is my favorite artist when it comes to comics, and just that chibi style, childish cartoon design that he makes is just phenomenal. And so once I saw that Scotty Young variant art was in the game, I was all in, and I'm like, hey, take my money, sign me up. Who do I pay? And so for 5 months, these cool variants would come up through the marketplace and I couldn't get them, and I was like, man, I just come on, give us our version. That's tough, man. And I'm seeing them because it's not the same. It's a grab bag, each update, you never know what's going to be in the marketplace to purchase. So I'm seeing all the ones I would want and I can't get them. And so I was a little bummed about that. But now that the game has officially released, having it on mobile and not being just bound to my PC, I love it, because sometimes, when I'm on lunch break or whatever at work, I can sneak a few games in, and I love it, man. Marvel Snap to me is incredible. Now you named some heavy hitters for 2023. So I want to ask you this question as we kind of get ready to bring things to a close, but what is your most anticipated game for 2023? What are you, I mean, if you had to say this one sticks out above all the rest, now I have my answer, and there's no wrong answer because this is specifically tailored to what you desire to play the most. But what game in 2023 are you the most excited about seeing come out?
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2. Gotcha. Yep.
Now there's rumors, Xbox had that article where they said that they believe Wolverine's coming out in 2023 as well, but it's not confirmed. But for Spider-Man 2, 100%, I am super excited for Tony Todd as Venom.
Yes.
So I am very now you were saying that there's 3 playable characters. Now let's say there's like a wish list here. Like, you say hero, you have full creative control. Okay. Who do you want to be the 3rd playable character? Spider-Gwen.
See, well,
100%.
Okay. So now I'm glad you said that because this is what I was talking to about a friend. I think I was talking to this to Sleeper Kid about this. Me and Sleeper Kid, my IT guy. I was telling him that I think that they literally are setting up their own universe with the Spider family. I think there's a day that we will see a game where Miles is playable, Peter is playable, Gwen Stacy is playable. I mean, I think that that's where they're headed. So if Spider-Man 2 doesn't introduce Gwen, I got a strong feeling it will. But if it doesn't, I think it's down the line that she becomes a playable character or gets a story arc or something. But you're absolutely right, man. I would love to have Gwen Stacy in something. Now, me personally, it's a strong cross between, because I don't think we'll get Wolverine in 2023. I don't see it because we're still not sure what season Spider-Man 2 is coming in, but I just don't think you would have time to properly promote
market.
Exactly, and market it. I don't think you would have time, and plus you wouldn't want to overlap the sales of Spider-Man 2. You wouldn't want to hurt your branding on that for them to be in competition with one another. So I'm thinking Wolverine is 2024. But there was conversations that the Hulk may be in the storyline of Wolverine.
Okay.
I've seen people talking about that. Not that he's playable or anything like that, but they were saying we could potentially get an Easter egg. So if we do, that kind of, to me, hints at what we could potentially be looking at from the future with Insomniac. If there's any company that Marvel should trust with their IP, it's definitely Insomniac. I mean,
100%. Like we also have like the EA 3 video games or multi-titles coming from EA. We have the Skydance, Black Panther, and Captain America 1942 game, which I'm really excited for that one as well.
Absolutely.
Like there's, if you are a superhero fan and a gaming fan, we're eating very well the next 3 years.
Golden era.
Very well.
Yes,
it's just, in regards to Avengers, it's one of those games where it's like, not only did I invest a lot of money into it, like I paid $80 for that game here in Canada. I was paying roughly $26 a week for a couple months for the marketplace to get the skins and the outfits and whatnot. Of course, I want to see it succeed. Of course I do, because it's the only game we have right now where I can play as 11 Marvel characters. And it's just, and 12 coming with Winter Soldier soon. And then rumor has it, She-Hulk and Captain Marvel. It's just, it just shows you how important structure is and foundation is, and being authentic and being real. Like when Avengers first started marketing itself, I didn't know it was a live action game or a live service game. I didn't know that, because the way it was marketing it was a storyline campaign.
Right. Yep.
And then all of a sudden I beat the campaign and I'm like, wait a minute, I got to loot, I got to build. I'm like, what is happening? Because none of the marketing said that. So it's just, Avengers, I do want to succeed. Of course I do, because I don't want anyone losing their jobs. And I know a lot of us have invested a lot of money and time into it. So there's that input. But I hope that they find their footing very soon. And this whole Gotham Knights versus Avengers conversation, it shouldn't be happening, because they're completely different experiences.
That's right.
Completely different experiences. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, because of my experience with Avengers, when they announced Heroic Assault, I was kind of like, oh no, 4-player co-op. All I can remember is restart checkpoint. So I had like a little bit of like PTSD, where it's like, please Gotham Knights, make this a great experience. And I think that's why they announced it for November 29th, was to give themselves some time to work out the bugs and the kinks of it. But yeah, Heroic Assault, I'm either going to be ready with Red Hood or Nightwing. So those are the two guys I'm going to be bringing. To be honest with you, all 4 Knights are amazing.
Yes.
Like it all depends on what you're feeling. Like maybe tonight you're like, you know what, I want to play some Gotham Knights, but I want to play more stealth. Then you got to play as Robin. Well, you don't have to, but you should.
Right.
Or if you're like, you know what, I like Hoarder. Hoarder gamers hates when I'm playing as Red Hood and he's playing as Batgirl or Robin, because I'm like, hey man, I'm Red Hood. I run and gun. I go in there and I'm Rambo. Right. And he's like, but I got to do stealth. I'm like, then you got to do your stealth first, because my job is to go in there and to clean up. But yeah, guns blazing. Exactly. I'm going guns blazing. If I'm going in as Nightwing, I'm going in there and I'm doing the acrobats. Like, it's just, I love how you define your style. And with Gotham Knights, I don't feel I should like restrict myself to one character, because they all play so well. So when people are like, I main Red Hood, I'm like, how do you do that? How do you play as one character when they all play so well? But now you see people branching out. They're like, you know what? Maybe I'll play as Batgirl, actually. And then like my buddy Who Cares was straight up Batgirl. Now he's like, I love Red Hood. So it's like, take your time, guys. Don't speed through the game. Take your time. Browse around Gotham. There's a lot to see. A lot to see.
A lot. Wow. You know what? Thank you so much, Hero, for your time. I'm just grateful to have this opportunity to chat with you in this fashion. Of course, we've been friends online for a little while now, and, have tweeted one another and, talk through inbox, but just to have this sit down and you come on the podcast, I really appreciate it so much, and can't wait to do some co-op gaming with you, man.
100%
co-op and then 4-player co-op. We're pretty much on the same line, around the same ages, and also, play at the same time. So, hey, man, this was just destined for us to connect, man. So listen, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate everybody who came and hung out with us. If you're going to be checking out the video on demand, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It certainly would help us here on the Deeper Level Podcast. I'm going to put this information up on the screen. If you are on Twitter, make sure that you give this gentleman a follow. I promise you, your timeline will not regret it. Thank you so much, sir. Any final thoughts and closing remarks?
If you are a fan of podcasting and superheroes, I do another podcast myself called Super Hour. The next podcast I have is November 24th with the developmental team from DC Heroes and Villains, the mobile game that's coming.
Awesome.
I'm also in talks with Greg Sipes, Teen Titans Beast Boy. I have a lot of people coming on, so please, you'll see that on my Twitter as well. It's very active there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And listen,
thank you.
All who tuned in. We'll see you again on the next time. This is Deeper Depths and Hero Mentor signing off of the Deeper Level. See you again soon. Peace.